Under the shimmering dragon veil lay the hidden village of Ashmere, where the people of the village coexisted with magical creatures peacefully. For generations, the dragon veil protected Ashmere from chaos, its magic a source of balance and prosperity. But one evening, Kael noticed something strange. The veil's light was flickering, and faint cracks began to form. Fearing for his village, Kael rushed to warn the others, but no one knew what to do. The people started to panic looking at the dragon veil. Eryndor, the last of the elder dragons, descended from the sky with a warning. He said the dragon veil's magic was failing. To restore it, the heart of the veil, hidden in the crystal peaks, must be reclaimed. Hearing Eryndor's warning, Kael, though young and uncertain, offered to embark on the dangerous journey. Eryndor saw the spark of bravery in him and agreed. Kael starts his journey with only his sword, a satchel, and his courage. Kael set out toward the crystal peaks to save his home. Kael, on reaching the end of the village, for one last time before heading into the forest, he glanced at his village. The mystic forest were alive with magic and mystery, their secrets guarded by unseen eyes. Kael hears a strange sound, notices a dragon roaring with pain. Cautiously approaches the dragon. On closer inspection, he notices the dragon's legs stuck between the tree roots. Kael, with his unmatched sword skill, frees the dragon. The dragon recognizes the pure heart of the boy and thanks him. Kael continues his journey towards the crystal peaks to investigate the reason for the heart of the dragon's failing magic. As he walks, Kael suspects someone following him. Suddenly, he turns back to check. The dragon approaches Kael, wanting to become his friend and introducing herself as Ember. Kael, with excitement, accepts Ember's friendship. Ember, then flapping her wings, kneeling down, offered Kael for a ride on her back. Kael climbed on Ember. Ember takes off to the sky, soaring above the clouds with Kael on her back. From that moment, their bond was forged, and together, they soared into the skies toward their shared destiny. After a while, they landed near a ramshackle workshop, taking a break. Upon entering the workshop, they saw gadgets and gears lying all over the ground which they have never seen before and examined them. Here they met Arlen, an eccentric inventor whose gadgets and ideas were as unpredictable as his personality. He inspects Ember closely, muttering about her scales, wings, and fire as Kael watches confused. Kael tells Arlen about the danger that his village is facing, and he is on a journey to investigate and reclaim the heart of the dragon. Arlen, on hearing Kael's story, gave him a crystal compass that shows the way to whatever the person holding it desires the most. Arlen packed his gadgets into his satchel, and with boundless enthusiasm, Arlen joined the team, much to Ember's reluctance. The trio then started their journey towards the crystal peak, as Ember flies above and cautiously scouts the area for any danger. As nightfall, the group sets up a camp with the help of Ember, igniting the fire and Arlen demonstrating his unpredictable gadgets. Next morning, the trio reached the crystal peaks, loomed ahead, their jagged spires glowing faintly with the magic of the veil. The journey was treacherous, with narrow trails and icy winds testing their resolve. A sudden quake shattered the path. Arlen, quickly reacting to quake, grabbed the edge of the mountain before the whole path collapsed. He climbed up slowly to the top, while Kael slips and falls from the cliff, trying to cling on to something. Ember's quick reflexes saved Kael, but the danger of the peaks was clear. The group then cautiously navigates the narrow path and reaches a cave. Moving deeper within the cave, they reach the entrance to the crystal caverns, where the heart of the veil lay hidden deep within. The crystal caverns were filled with crystals, dazzling maze of light and reflection, their beauty hiding untold dangers. Kael takes out the compass that Arlen gave him and holds it. Thinking about the heart of the veil, a glowing trail along their path is formed. At the end of the glowing trail, there is a heart surrounded by crystals losing its light slowly. But they were not alone. Shade, the rogue dragon, had found them, determined to keep the heart of the veil for himself, gaining power. Ember, feeling a dark presence emitting from Shade, confronted him and warned him not to come close and to stay away from her friends. her fiery determination clashing with his dark, chaotic power. She continued fighting back with all her might. Shade's power shook the caverns, his attacks relentless and destructive. Ember fought valiantly. Using her speed, she dodged the attacks from Shade and stayed one step ahead in the battle. Kael calls for Ember. Answering his call, Ember lands beside him. The crystal compass on the hand of Kael began glowing brightly. Pointing to something, Kael notices a bright red glow from the Shade's chest and understands why the magic from the Heart of Veil is failing. Kael, determined to take back the magic of the Heart of the Veil from Shade, devised a strategic plan and instructs Ember to distract Shade. Meanwhile, Ember and Kael was planning for the Heart's retrieval. Arlen, with his unpredictable gadgets, distracted Shade briefly. Using this chance, Ember attacked Shade, weakening him. Angry Shade then launched a ferocious flame wave attack towards Ember. Arlen jumps in and protects Ember with his shield gadget. Kael sees an opening and runs towards Shade, jumping and grabbing his hand, climbing to the top of his head, while Shade trying to shake him off his body. But somehow Kael manages to stay on him without falling to the ground. Kael then takes out the crystal compass and smashes it on Shade's head, creating a huge magical blast, rendering Shade to lose its sanity and collapse to the ground. The battle was over. Shade's power faded, and a dark aura emerged from Shade's body and vanished. Kael retrieved the Heart of the Veil from Shade, as it emits a golden glow outpouring heavenly magic. Kael then placed the heart in its crystal pedestal. The Heart of the Veil began to awaken, producing brilliant rays of light shooting upwards into the sky, repairing the dragon's veil with its magic. The group celebrated their victory by jumping, singing, and dancing to their heart's content. Arlen chooses to stay behind in the crystal caverns to continue studying its wonders, promising to invent new ways to protect the balance between humans and dragons. Kael and Ember emerges from the cavern into the bright morning sunlight. The dragon veil shimmers vibrantly above the peaks. Both of them watches the restored veil from the edge of the peak. Their return was met with joy and celebration. Kael and Ember were hailed as heroes of the veil. Eryndor, the last elder dragon, blessed Kael and Ember for their courageous act with his gratitude. Eryndor, with concern, revealed a secret long hidden from the world. A darkness older and more dangerous than even Shade was stirring. Though their mission was complete, Kael knew this was only the beginning of a far greater adventure. Far beyond the veil, a new threat awaited, one that would test Kael, Ember, and their friends in ways they could never imagine. Somewhere beyond, the true enemy waited in the shadows. And so, their story continues, for the shadows are restless, and the dragons are not yet safe.